everybody, welcome to Excel video 405. I'm Nate Moore. I did a webinar for MGMA a couple of weeks ago with my friend Mona Reimers. Talked a lot about business intelligence and gave a lot of good ideas about how to implement business intelligence ideas in your practice. If you missed it, mgma.com/store will give you a link to the on-demand webinars. It's worth taking a look. Remember last time we talked about the difference between absolute and relative references, this button here, when you're recording macros. And you remember a couple of Excel videos ago, in Excel video 403, we had a macro that worked here. We changed these dates. We got a total here. Worked on Tuesday. As soon as we got to Wednesday, where there were more rows than there were on Monday or Tuesday, the thing blew up. We got a total right here. We got some dates that didn't get formatted. This footer stayed. We had a bunch of problems. And part of the way to solve the problem, we're back to a clean copy of Monday here, is to use absolute and relative references. When we recorded these macros, we recorded with absolute references. So I could have started the macro here or here, and it would have immediately gone to A1 and run. So we're going to start our new macro today the same way. We're going to start with relative references on, and then the trick is we're going to move from an absolute reference to a relative reference in the middle of the macro, and we'll see if we can get this all right. So we'll start way over there just because. And we're going to record a macro. Absolute, then relative. And let's click OK. And it already exists because I was playing with it, so I'm just going to override it, which is actually not a bad idea. If you write a macro and you screw up or you crash or whatever, you can always just name it the same thing and go fix it. And that's what this one actually works, but we'll go fix it anyway. So what do we want to do first? We want to leave absolute references on because the first thing we want to do is we want to go up here to cell A1. So we're going to do that. So no matter where we are in the spreadsheet, when we start the macro, we're going to cell A1. And then we're going to switch to relative references. See how relative references is lit up there? Now the next thing we want to do is get rid of the line, that footer at A17. But it may not be at A17. So the trick is, rather than click around now and tell Excel go down 16 rows, we don't want to do that because we might want to go down 20 rows on Tuesday and 10 rows on Wednesday. We're going to hold down the End key, E-N-D, and down arrow, and we're going to say that's the cell we want to get rid of, so we're going to delete it. And then I'm going to hold the End key and go up, and it's going to take me up to the first level of text, and End and the up arrow again is going to take me back to where I started. So far, so good. We've got rid of that. Now I'm going to go down one just with the down arrow key. That's where I want to go. And then we're going to go Shift and down. And the reason we're doing Shift and down instead of selecting is because Shift and down will select all the cells till we come to a blank cell. So whether we have 10 rows or 20 rows or 100 rows, it's going to go down until we find a blank cell, and that's where it'll stop. So we're going to come over here to Home. We'll make it a short date. So far, so good. We've got rid of the footer. We fixed the date. Now I'm just going to right arrow over one. And then I'm going to do End and down again. And the down arrow one more time is going to put me where I want to go. And again, I'm arrowing around. I'm not clicking around with that End key. So End is going to take me to the very bottom of my range no matter how many rows I have. And then what I want to do, the second error that I intentionally made when we played with this in Excel videos 402, 403, is I use this auto sum button, which the macro recorder doesn't get. So we're going to write the sum formula ourselves. And then the trick is equals sum. And what do we want it to do here? Well, we want to go up to B2 and down as far as the row right above where we are. So what we're going to do is we're going to type $B, $2. We're going to type the $sign there because we always want to start with B2. Then what we're going to do is we're going to do the colon and just hit the up arrow once. And the up arrow once is going to work for us. Because whether the up arrow gets me to row 16 or row 1600, I'm going to sum from B2 all the way to the row right above my sum formula. I hope that makes sense. So what I did is I said, all right, I know I can type in $B, $2 because my amount is always going to start at B2. No matter what data I import, I'm always going to start at B2. And whether I get 1 row or 1,000 rows, I'm going to go up 1 from where I am right now. I'm going to put a right parenthesis right there. We're going to put a $sign on the format, and then we're going to stop recording before anything else happens to our macro. So now, in a perfect world, what we ought to be able to do is come over here to Wednesday. Remember, here's row 16. Wednesday goes to row 22 if you count the footer. Go someplace completely bizarre. Come over here to the Developer tab. Macros, absolute and relative. Let's run that thing. And that, my friends, cooperates. Couple lessons learned quickly. Switching from absolute to relative in the middle of a macro is very helpful. Absolute, make me go to A1. Absolutely, I always want to start at A1, and then I'm going to go relative from there so I can use the end key, END, and arrow around to get to where I want to go. Trick number 2, don't use AutoSum. Type the formula here. And trick number 3 is, rather than click around, that END, get familiar with and play with what Shift and End and Control and End and Control and arrow directions and that kind of thing to either go where you want to go or select ranges of cells at a time. Learn some of those tricks to help the macro recorder know where you want to go. There's several lessons in that thing. Hopefully it was helpful for you. We've built a macro now that we can use on a variety of sizes of data. We're going to look at what that macro built and try to interpret some of the awful code that's going on behind it. We'll start that next time in Visual Basic for Applications. I look forward to seeing you then.